Welcome back to another episode of QB Reviews Things. You may notice I have a guest. This is Justin Rademacher, and he is a local stand-up comedian. And today, we will be reviewing what it's like to be a local stand-up comedian. This is the first episode where QB is going to learn things that I'm not currently doing. This will be kind of a recurring thing, and we have lots of plans with other guests who can teach me other aspects of life other than music, disc golf, and football, which are the only things I've been reviewing. Oh yeah, and bubblers. That video is out right now. Check the card. Let's get into it. QB Reviews Things.
I put the mic up to my phone, to my face, like I was gonna say something.
Yes, that's how we come back after our intro break. And we're leaving that in there because this is about stand-up comedy, and this guy says he's funny.
I try to be.
Anyhow, this is Justin Rademacher. Him and I have been friends for years. And ever since I've known him, he has been really into stand-up comedy. We've gone on so many road trips, and of course, all of my friends, other than Justin, are all musicians, so of course we'd be listening to music. But with the road trips with Roddy here, he's always good about putting in an album of stand-up comedy. So I think maybe that's where we'll start before we get into your journey of stand-up. Can you give me your influences in comedy, maybe a top 3 favorite comedians? What do you got?
Yeah, QB, my favorite, I'd say my top 3 inspirational / comics that I always go back to, like whenever I need some inspiration or just to get a good laugh. Brian Regan, he's my number 1. He's the best comedian of all time. He's known as your comedian's favorite comedian.
Manslaughter!
Yep, he says manslaughter. Another one would be Mitch Hedberg. He's another big inspiration for me.
Yep.
He's very similar in the aspect that he does a lot of one-liners. I'm a one-liner comedian, so that's another inspiration. He's the reason why I got into that style. So that he's another big one. And then another one, Norm Macdonald is a big one.
Copycat.
I know, that's why I said it, because I know QB here is a big fan of Norm Macdonald. So, and I usually only use the 2. Brian Regan and Mitch Hedberg. So I had to add a third one on the top of my head, and I mean, Norm is always great. So.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, in the videos we've made so far on our young channel, I haven't talked about much other than the Jags, the random things like dogs and soft drinks, and then of course music. But actually that's the first time our audience has known about anything with me in comedy. And yes, Norm Macdonald, I've always said is my number 1 favorite. I think you knew this about me too, but my other favorite comedian or comedians, even though it's not stand-up, is Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
They are brilliant human beings.
That's my top tier, and even more than Norm Macdonald. I just think those 2 are peak. I don't know if anyone understands comedy better than them, as far as I'm concerned. I
would agree with you 100%. Like, if I wasn't talking about stand-up specifically, I would include those 2 as the top. Like, those, I think they are funnier than Brian Regan. I don't even think there's a question about it.
Yeah. Cool. So you were saying Mitch Hedberg is a favorite, is an influence because you're a one-liner.
Yes.
So, I guess... Well, I wanted to get into the local scene, but I know that in the local scene right now, you're the only one doing one-liners?
Yes, in the Duluth local scene, I'm the only one that does one-liners as my, basically the only thing I do is one-liners. I'm the only comedian here in the Duluth scene that does that. There are a few comedians down in the cities that do that as well. But as our local, Twin Ports area, yes, that is correct.
Do you think, we'll call that genre,
Yep.
If that's a term you could use in stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I'd say that's a genre.
So even just here in Duluth, we can talk about it here and we can get bigger, but do you think genre matters for the audience? Or do you think it's more just the comedian themselves?
I think it's the comedian themselves. I don't think the audience is going in expecting any specific genre. I think they're just there to laugh. They're there to have a good time, and they just want to forget about the real world for a little while. And there are some comedians that will talk about politics and talk about the real world, but turn it funny and make it into something that you can actually enjoy. I'm not that kind of comedian. I'm the kind that you're going to forget that the world exists, and I'm going to bring you in 40 different directions. During if I'm on there for 5 minutes, I'm going to do about 30 jokes. If I'm on there for 10 minutes, it's going to be about 60. So I try to hit a lot of different topics and talk about everything, really, just so then you kind of forget about yourself for a little while and just get to enjoy comedy and just laugh and have that away time.
So when you're at a show, do you notice, okay, so like if you do one-liners, you get a crowd reaction every 20 seconds?
Yeah, between 10 and 20 seconds. And then it also depends on if I add tags. So that way, if I add a tag, I do a joke, but then there's another quick punch right after the punch. So I get multiple punchlines in one joke.
Okay, so the crowd is reacting in a way pretty rapidly.
Yes.
Because you're giving the jokes rapidly.
Yep.
How do you think that compares as an audience member? How do you think that compares to watching a comedian who does long form, like a story, and maybe the crowd only laughs 4 total times in a local set? For me, as an audience member, I feel like I'd rather watch the one-liner, especially in the local scene. But how do you think it compares? Because you get to watch at these shows, you get to watch those other comedians who are telling stories, and in a 3 to 5 minute little set, like I'm saying, they might only get 3 to 5 laughs, but that's because of how it's set up.
Yeah, and some of them actually do a very good job of getting laughs before the main laugh, if that makes sense. So they'll do like a story per se, where it's going to be like a 2 to 3 minute bit, but they'll do small little laughs up until that big laugh. So they're kind of building up to that laugh. And then that big laugh usually gets a harder laugh than any of my one-liners, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes, obviously, I do have a couple one-liners that hit hard depending on the timing of it and how I put that into my set. But it all depends on the show as well, because sometimes in the audience, because if the audience isn't feeling it, or like say you have a couple comedians that went before you that didn't do super well, then it's harder to get that audience on your side, because they don't trust anybody at that point. Or if the comedians are doing really well before you, then it makes your job easier because they're already in the mood to laugh, and they're just going to keep going, and they're going to roll with that laugh and keep building up as your set goes.
Man, I got so many questions now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, hopefully I remember them all. Maybe this isn't even a question, but if I was choosing what kind of comedy I'd be, and it's not like you've chosen one-liners, it's just that's just how my brain works, and that's how I can write jokes. It just comes easier to me to write it that way rather than making it into a story. Sure.
So yeah.
But I was thinking, like, I'd almost want to go the one-liner route, because you're saying these other comedians, they'll get some pre-laughs on the way to the big moment of the story.
Yep.
Man, what if the big moment bombs, you know? Because then you just wasted maybe a minute and a half building up to this big thing, and it's not as good as you thought it would be. And it's like, crap, I made it halfway through, and it didn't work. I wasted all this time.
Well, and the tough part is sometimes you'll be in that story and you'll be about halfway through that story. Again, this is based on what other comedians have told me, that they'll be about halfway through and they already know that big punch isn't going to hit. but they have to keep going because it doesn't make sense to stop where they're at, so they just need to finish it up and then move on to their next one. And so at that point, they just kind of, sometimes they'll shorten the story to get to that punch faster. It all, again, it's reading the audience, reading the room, being able to direct your material the way that it's going to work best on stage.
Yeah, and then the other thing I was going to bring up is like, so I think with the outlet specifically, we have an interesting thing that kind of ties to this. We're like, right now, we're releasing all of our 8-bit stuff. Now, our audience knows this.
Yep.
From January to March is all 8-bit music. That definitely is a niche audience.
Yep.
But then, March, April, and May, we're releasing 3 country songs. And actually, technically 4, because we're re-releasing Country Breeze, which is out now. Card up here. We're re-releasing it. So there's like this 4 country song package going into summer because summer works for country.
Yeah.
But then, June until December, we're releasing a full-length album, Ghost, which is rock and electronic, kind of what the outlet already does. It's just themed as Ghost. And within all that, we have short songs, long songs, fast songs, slow songs. Some that'll be singles, some that are deep cuts. And because we do all these different things, it's almost like we're doing one-liners, our short bangers. The one that's coming out in May, it's like 2 minutes and 10 seconds. That's short.
That is very short, yeah.
But then, like, some of the deep cuts that are coming out for the Ghost album way in the fall, one of them is 8 minutes long. And it's really just because that's a perfect closure to an album.
Yeah.
But it's not a single. But yeah, it's like making the decision going into it. Maybe we don't decide our jokes and our songs. They just come as they come. But once you have this repertoire of jokes or songs, then you have to make decisions. How do I make a set? If this type of thing that I thought was going to work during a show isn't working, can I quickly redirect because I have this big repertoire?
Yeah.
And I know you have a big repertoire.
Yep.
So do you ever find yourself doing that? Like, all right, here's my plan for the night, but 3-4 jokes in, you're like, crap. And then on the fly?
Yes, I have definitely done that where it's typically at open mics, I would do that more often. Because at like a paid show where people are there specifically for comedy, I don't try to deviate super far unless I have to. That hasn't been the case so far in paid shows. Paid shows are usually, there's more people, and so like usually with one-liners, or at least in my experience, you get to hit groups of the audience because you don't always hit everybody at the same time with the one-liners, but maybe some, like, this group of people is going to laugh at this one-liner, then this group of people is going to laugh at that one-liner, and then it sounds like the whole group is laughing the entire time, even though it's just sections of the audience, which I think helps in my favor. But in open mics, sometimes I do have to deviate from that because maybe we'll have, I don't know, 5 or 10 people, or it's all comedians that are at the open mic. And so they've all heard my material that I would normally use. So I don't want to do that material. I want to try to use newer material that they haven't seen, or change my material enough so it sounds new and it has a different punchline, has a different setup. However you want to do it, to tweak it to make it a little newer for that audience.
Okay, so that made me think of a question. Since you're a one-liner,
yep,
and, a lot of the comedians are storyteller, I guess, but they, even within that genre, they have their own style.
Yep.
Open mic, whatever, everyone goes and does their thing. It's the same in music. But these paid gigs, whether you're opening for a touring comedian, or it's just the Duluth Comedy Club, is that what they're called?
It's Twin Ports Comedy.
Twin Ports Comedy. They're putting together a real show. Do you find some people will choose you to open because they like the one-liner within the context of the entire show, and vice versa? Do you think people say, I don't want you on this show, it's no offense, but just your genre doesn't fit in this?
Yes, that has happened. Both of those cases have happened. I'm at the point right now where I'm a good host for a comedy show. I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to be I'm trying to get to that feature point where I'm kind of like in between the host and the headliner. And so as a host, I feel like I'm good with one-liners because I can hit different avenues that the feature and the headliner can then get an idea of what the audience is into and what they're not into. So like if I do some of my really squeaky clean jokes and they realize, oh, these aren't going to work, then they can maybe tailor their set to not have any of those in there. Or if I do a more dirty set, they'll know that works or it doesn't work. Or maybe I'll do darker jokes, those work or don't work. Again, it's all going to be dependent on the audience because there are going to be audiences that like those different things, but then there's going to be audiences that don't like those and are obviously going to be appalled by some of that stuff. So.
And you get paid to be a host?
Yes. Yep. You do get paid to be a host. So you are going to be the one to get everything going, and then you're introducing everybody on stage. So you're going to be on stage the most amount of times, but not the longest amount of time. So I'll go up, introduce what's going on for the night, let everybody know of all the rules, like keep your table talk to a minimum, don't use your phones, all that kind of stuff. Go through all the rules. Then you do your set, which is, I feel like the host has a tough job in the fact that you're going in with the audience being cold. So you need to then get them in the mood for comedy. And sometimes that will take your entire set, and then you're basically handing off the show to the feature.
Sure.
Who will then pass that off to the headliner.
All right, so you can make money being a host.
Yep.
Obviously, open mic, that's almost just practice that you do in front of audience.
Yep. Yeah. There are places that will pay their hosts at open mics. Not very many, but there are places that will pay their hosts because it is at open mics. It's tougher at an open mic to host than it is at a paid show, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't if you're not a comedian. At an open mic, you're going to have people that you don't necessarily know. Like, you might not know the feature or the headliner at a set, but there's only 2 people that you need to introduce. Where at an open mic, there could be like 20 people that you need to introduce. Whether you know something about them or their style, you use that to intro them. Or you just use whatever you know about the previous comedian, maybe throw a joke out there just to kind of tie in with their stuff, and then introduce the next comedian. So at an open mic, you're going to be on stage 20 times, where at a paid show, you're going to be on there 3 times.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So then, really, the money is in hosting at this level.
Yep.
And then gigs... And I'm guessing gigs are like music. Are you guys paid based off of how many audience members buy admission?
There are different ways of making money depending on the show. So if you're a producer of the show, you're going to make more money because you're putting in the effort. You're doing all the poster work. You're doing all the behind-the-scenes stuff for that show. So you are probably going to make the most amount of money at this level being a producer. Then you'll make the most money as a host if you're like a local comedian, unless you're at that feature or headliner level. And yeah, so you will get paid for that kind of stuff. And right now, Twin Ports Comedy is actually now a nonprofit. So we're actually trying to help everybody in the community, if they're interested in producing, to take away that risk of losing money as a producer. Because there is an opportunity to lose money as a producer if you don't have the audience show up.
Yep.
So, and again, there are different ways of doing this, because you can sell tickets and then pay everybody based off of the tickets. Or you can have the venue pay you, and then that way you know how much you can pay everybody.
All right, so what's your goal? What is the plan? How do you go from... I mean, because you're pretty successful in Duluth right now.
I believe so, yeah.
What's the goal? And if the goal is to get bigger, how do you think you're going to do it?
Yeah, so my plan... I'm still hosting right now, so my next step is to get to that feature spot. Once I have enough material, about 20 to 30 minutes of material that I can use on a pretty frequent basis, that always lands, always works. That way I can get regular feature spots. I can go around the rest of the state, even the surrounding states to feature. After that, once you get to that 45 minute to an hour, that's when you can start headlining. And then you can start touring even around the country at that point. So that is the goal, to kind of go one step at a time. The first one is to just start at open mics, get your solid 5 minutes, then you can start moving from there. Get to 10 minutes, then you can start hosting. 10 to 15 to host. Then if you get to 20 to 30 feature, then 45 to an hour for headlining.
Nice. And your personal goal, make it big?
I don't necessarily want to make it big. I just want to do it for a living. As long as I could do it, get to the point where I can do it for a living, I'd be happy.
Cool. Before we go, we already shouted out Twin Ports Comedy, right? That's what it's called?
Yep, Twin Ports Comedy.
And that's up here in Duluth. Any other shout-outs? People, other comedians? I know you have a podcast. Give us some shout-outs. Things that if anyone's watching, they can go check out your comedy, but other people's comedy and whatever. Yeah,
for sure. Again, my name is Justin Rademacher. My friends call me Roddy. I'm part of the Twin Ports comedy scene up here in the Duluth area. We do go all over the place up in northern Minnesota. We do have shows in Brainerd, Bemidji. We've done International Falls. We do up in like the Iron Range area. We've gone into Wisconsin and Superior, into Duluth. We have invaded the cities a few times. So we do like to go all over the place. If you are interested in getting to know this scene, you can always go to twinportscomedy.com. Go onto the comics page, and you'll be able to see a lot of our local comedians. You're going to see people like Chad Gallo, Dustin Fawcett, Danielle Trollo, Bob Acetrack. You'll see me on there. You're going to see a bunch of other local comedians that are doing very well. They're doing a lot for this scene. Like I said, we also are becoming a nonprofit. We actually have become a nonprofit, I should say. So we have other people that are helping out with that as well. We have Grace and Jamie are helping with that. And we have other people that are stepping up, helping the scene, making it better as we do this. We have on Tuesday nights, we have our open mic at the Jade Fountain. John Holden is running that one. We have Wednesdays are at the Caddy Shack. Thursdays are at Dublin's Brew Pub in Duluth. And then we have our pro shows at Dublin's on Saturdays, which I do the hosting for that, or I run the host schedule for that, I should say. So if you guys are interested, any local comedians, check it out. And all that. Otherwise, check out the Stupidest Podcast. I run the Stupidest Podcast as well. So,
and if you're still around right now, the Stupidest Podcast has a theme song that we wrote. It's me.
Yes, it is QB.
It's the outlet, and we have a lot of fun ones. So, if anything, go to the Stupidest Podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast and listen to the first 45 seconds of every episode and then get rid of it.
Yeah, you don't have to listen to the whole thing. Just the intro. That's all we need to listen to.
Just kidding. Listen to it. They have themed episodes. They have music themes. They have construction worker themes. I mean, It's mostly comedy, but they do also do random like interviews with other people.
And we do have our very first video episode with QB, so check that out.
Yeah, and the other QBs.
Yes, other QBs as well.
Yep, I don't think I have any cards left to put up here, but if I did, here's my finger. And if not, you have to go to the original page. Remember, our new channel, QB Reviews Things, is pretty new, but we used to do these reviews back on the Outlets channel, so you might have to do some searching, but cool. This is not the last time you're going to see Roddy, but it is the last time we're going to talk to Roddy about comedy. So, we have another video coming out. In fact, this one might even come out after the one I'm talking about, but it doesn't matter. You're going to get to know Roddy because we're interviewing him a second time for a different topic. Other than that, this has been our longest video. Nice. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you're here because you like comedy or music. And we'll talk to you next time.
QB Reviews Things.